Good afternoon. In today's session, we would be continuing our topic of airway clearance, and today we would be discussing about cough and coughing techniques. So cough may be a reflexive or voluntary. When a person coughs, a series of action occurs. Under normal conditions, the cough pump is effective to the seventh generation of bronchi. Ciliated epithelial cells are present up to the terminal bronchiole and raise secretions from the smaller to the larger airways in the absence of pathology. An effective cough is necessary to eliminate respiratory obstructions and keep the lungs clear. Now the cough reflex arc, how does it works? So there are cough receptors which senses, and then the sensations are carried by the afferent pathways, that is the sensory nerve fibers located in ciliary epithelium of upper airways, sensory nerve fibers located in cardiac and esophageal branches from the diaphragm, and then these afferent pathways carries the sensations towards the central pathway, which is the cough center, and it is located in the upper brainstem and pons. From here, the information is processed, coordinated, and then it is carried out to the efferent pathways, that is the impulses from vagal, phrenic, and spinal motor nerves to diaphragm, abdominal wall, and muscles. And then it is carried out to the effector muscles, which formulate the cough, and thus coughing occurs. Now, phases of coughing. So coughing occurs with deep inspiration followed by closure of glottis, followed by increase in intra-abdominal pressure, followed by forceful expiration against the closed glottis. Now here there are two terminologies which are little confusing. You must have heard about it, cough and a huff. Now the difference between cough and huff is, in case of cough the glottis is closed and so the increase in intra-abdominal pressure is much more as compared to huff, whereas in huffing the glottis is open. So the phases of huffing could be deep inspiration with open glottis, increase in intra-abdominal pressure, and forceful expiration against the open glottis. So this is how we differentiate the cough and a huff. Now again I would request you to do this. Take a deep breath, tighten your vocal cords. So this increases the intra-abdominal pressure, and against this tightened vocal cord try to expire forcefully. So this is what we do coughing. Okay. Now there are factors that decrease the effectiveness of a cough mechanism and a cough pump. These factors are decreased inspiratory capacity, such as in case of abdominal surgery, pain, rib fractures, inability to forcibly expire air in cases of spinal cord injuries above T12 level, decreased action of cilia in the bronchial tree, example in cases of COPD, and increased viscosity of mucus, example in cases of cystic fibrosis and chronic bronchitis. So this is what we have discussed about what is cough mechanism, the phases of cough. Now we will be continuing that how we have to teach coughing techniques to our patients. So this is how we teach assisted coughing techniques. So assisted coughing techniques could be broadly classified into manually assisted coughing techniques and self-assisted coughing techniques. Manually assisted coughing techniques could be sub-classified into anterior chest compression, counter rotation assist, costophrenic assist, and Hamlich type or abdominal thrust assist. Okay, so we would be discussing about each technique. So first is your costophrenic assist. This technique could be given in any position. This technique can be used for patients with weak or paralyzed intercostals or abdominal muscles. And the therapist must remember to evaluate the effect of gravity and posture in each position for the appropriateness of this technique. This is helpful for lower airway clearance but does not directly assist in upper chest clearance unless the patient is able to move his or her upper body independently while the therapist assesses the lower chest. So you could be seeing the diagram. Here what happens is, after assessing the patient's most appropriate position, the therapist gives instruction to the patient to maximize the 4 cuffing stages, that is deep inspiration, closure of glottis, tighten your vocal cord, closure of your glottis, increase intra-abdominal pressure and forceful expiration against that closed glottis. And at the end of expiration, the therapist applies a quick manual stretch. You could be seeing the placement of hand, a quick manual stretch downward and inward towards the patient's navel to facilitate a stronger diaphragmatic and intercostal muscle contraction during the succeeding inhalation. So this is how costophrenic assist occurs. Then we would be moving out to the next technique, which is Hamlich type assist. In this technique, it is required that you have to teach the phases of cuffing to the patient, and the therapist place the heel of his or her hand above the level of patient's navel. You could be seeing in the picture, and after appropriate positioning, the patient is instructed to take a deep breath and hold it. And as the patient is instructed to cuff, the therapist quickly pushes up in the inside the on his hand with the heel of his or her hand. Okay, so he pushes in under the diaphragm with the heel of his hand. So this is how abdominal thrust is done. Technically, this procedure is very effective at forcefully expelling the air as in a cuff, but it can be extremely uncomfortable for the patients, because first thing is it's concentrated area of contact. Second is the abrupt nature, which may elicit an undesired high neuromuscular tone response, or worse when combined with the sensory input that the therapist's manual contact supply. And the third problem with this is the force, which can cause an abdominal herniations. So this cannot be done in all the patients, but required could be done for the patients with certain precautions. Then the next technique is anterior chest compression. This is the first single technique thus far to address the compression needs of the upper as well as the lower chest in a single manner. You could be seeing the diagram. In this, the therapist puts one arm across the patient's pectoral region to compress the upper chest, and the other arm is either placed parallel to the lower chest or abdomen. The commands are same as in the other techniques, that is deep inspiration, closure of glottis, increase intra-abdominal pressure and forceful expiration against the closed glottis. The therapist applies a quick force through both the arms to stimulate the force necessary during the expulsion phase. The direction of forces are down and back in the upper chest and up and back on lower chest or abdomen. So this is the way how this technique is done. The anterior chest compression technique is more effective than costophrenic assist for patients with very weak chest wall muscles because of the added compression of the upper anterior chest wall. The anterior chest compression technique is not appropriate for patients with a cavus condition of the upper anterior chest because it promotes further collapsing of the upper chest wall. Anterior chest wall. Now moving on to the next technique, which is counter rotation assist. This is the most effective assistive cuffing technique for most of the neurological patients. You could be seeing in the diagram, the instructions are given to the patients for the previous techniques, that is deep inhalation, closure of glottis, forceful exhalation against the closed glottis, and the patient is then instructed to hold it at the end of the maximal inspiration. The patient is commanded to cough out as hard as possible while the therapist quickly and forcefully compresses the chest with his or her hands in their flexion phase positions. And this is how the technique is put. Counter rotation is an excellent mobilizer for a tight chest, which in itself can facilitate spontaneous deeper breaths, tidal volumes, and can therefore be increased for many patients by mobilizing the chest walls. Also, rotation can be a vestibular stimulator and may assist in arousing the patient cognitively, allowing him or her to take a more active role in the procedure. Then we would be moving on to the self-assisted cuffing techniques. So in these are certain positions in which we would be teaching the same thing to our patient. That is, the patient has to take a deep inspiration, he has to close his glottis and increase intra-abdominal pressure, and then forcefully exhale against that closed glottis in these positions. So self-assisted cuffing techniques would be prone on elbow, head flexion self-assisted cuff, long sitting self-assisted cuff, short sitting self-assisted cuff, hands knee rocking self-assisted cuff, standing self-assisted cuff. So these are the diagrammatic representations of the self-assisted cuffing technique. So this is done with today's session. We would be continuing the next techniques in further sessions. These are my references, and thank you so much. Have a nice day.